Everybody, thanks so much for tuning into the WTCF podcast. It's Charlie here, hanging out, and just wanted to go ahead and go through this last week's intention. So I'm just making sure I can get ahead of it. Bam, there are my notes. So, uh, in honor of the Deadpool and Wolverine movie, I wanted to go back through the original Deadpool and come back with a quote that I really, really liked from that film from Colossus. And he goes on to speak about the 4 or 5 moments of being a hero, basically saying, you don't have to wake up and be a hero or brush your teeth and be a hero or, any of that. It's just 4 or 5 moments that you can go ahead and use to help yourself. So I wrote a little bit about it and just wanted to kind of talk my way through some of that. And maybe it's something that helps you. The first one on that list is to make a sacrifice. So basically putting others first, recognizing somebody else's needs ahead of our own. This can be something of like sacrificing our time, resources, or our comfort to help another person, to volunteer, to give a helping hand, to give up something we cherish for the greater good. And these moments can be like very transformative. So it's this opportunity to really just make a sacrifice to give part of yourself up uh, for the betterment of other things. And I think it's a very heroic quality. On two, it's conquer a flaw. So facing a weakness, like recognizing something in ourselves, some shortcomings, and then taking those things head on. These moments are about self-improvement and overcoming some personal challenges. So it's trying to work on something like having a bad habit of something. So for myself, as of late, I've recognized how much I've turned towards more emotional eating. My hunger has been really, really off the last couple of months, and some of the other self-soothing that I've tried to go ahead and use. And instead, I rather look at that and conquer those pieces of myself a little bit wiser than I used to do in the past. So taking a different approach, feeling a little bit better about the choices that I'm making, and then try to actively make a few better choices here and there. Like it's not going to be perfect, but you try to do your damnedest and really, really kind of hope you help yourself out and get through it. The next one is to save a friend. Basically, be there when it counts. So sometimes these moments can be like to make a sacrifice to help somebody else out. But when a friend really needs us, when they're going through a tough time, facing a crisis, or just need some kind of support. Um, so it's just being there for some other people when they really could just use a bit of help. And I've tried to do that in the past to both sides of the outcome, whether it be really helpful, and then sometimes it ended up really not helping at all. So seeing both sides of that is part of the maturity of it, and recognizing, you can try to help people, but sometimes people can't help themselves and you can't do the work for them. So it becomes really difficult for that, but do your best to save a friend. And the last one on here is to spare an enemy. And I think for like the TV show takes on it, or some of the movie takes on it, up until some parts, some of the older films, it would always be like, and the bad guy gets away. And a little bit more as of late, it's usually like one and done enemies. So you can kind of think of some of the stuff in the MCU, but now them playing with the multiverse stuff, everybody's allowed to come back. But to spare an enemy, to give them a chance to go ahead and learn, and instead of holding a grudge and seeking revenge, but learning to forgive somebody for what they're experiencing. So we don't quite know what everybody else is going through, and it could be really tough on somebody else. And sometimes we end up creating our own enemies by doing something that we thought was the right thing, right? To try to save a friend. In reality, we've went out and hurt somebody, and now they're turned against us. So instead of holding on to things like anger and hatred, learning to forgive, or to offer a second chance, or working to avoid the conflict, and challenge ourselves to take the higher road. So it can be really, really difficult to do those things. And we have a really big impact on other people. So it's important for us to maintain our own sense of what our actions are leading to. We have to be responsible for the choices that we make, and not just turn to everything else and say everything else is to blame for the problems that we currently have. It's somebody else's problem, but to really look within ourselves and see that there's an opportunity for us to really grow and learn, and that could help out a whole bunch with us like developing into becoming heroes. So it's not about doing all this other stuff and constantly being a hero every second of the day, but to really take a look at life and say, well, there's only 4 or 5 moments that we really need to show up for ourselves on that one. So hopefully you can have a chance to, make a sacrifice and, conquer a flaw, save a friend, or spare an enemy. And on that note, good luck.